know that I'm different. Self-motivated, self-disciplined. Yeah, I learned from my experience. I just want someone.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode from Boys and Men. I'm your host, Terry, Mr. King. And today I got a real special guest on, man. This guy has guided me through a lot of turmoil and controversy in myself when I was in the military. And he really helped me make some tough decisions and try to give me another perspective on how to look on things, especially being in the military. But I'm gonna allow this man to introduce himself, man. Y'all in for a treat.
All right, you guys. Thanks for having me on. Oh man, yeah, definitely. Just like you said, when I met him, he was a young guy in the military, young, full of all kind of ideas. You know, I know I sense a lot of anger, just a lot of, recruiters. You know what you're being told, and you get there and you realize, whoa, this is what I want to do. Now I gotta do all this to get here, and so it was just one of those type deals. Like I said, when I met him, just trying to get him on that right path to stay out of trouble. That was the key element right there. Because a lot of times when you see this, you get yourself in trouble, you get yourself in predicaments where you're not looking to get in trouble, but it's just, the system and what it's designed is just not what you was cut out for. Not the thing you weren't cut out for, but the system itself. Yeah. And like I said, it was something after I met you, it was definitely, it wasn't a task, it wasn't a chore, but it was definitely something, at least other people who wasn't there for you, who wasn't like, you know what, let me look out for this. I can see what this guy is going through. Let me try to guide him in the right direction, so that way he would not get himself, any predicaments. Oh yeah. So it was interesting. It was interesting, but hey, here you are today, right?
Yes, sir. Y'all, this is my Navy counselor. He told me to call him Joe now, but I can't say it. It's NC1 Joe. NC1, man. Like, I didn't know how big the importance your role was when I met you on the ship. But now looking back on it, it was really needed. Because, after battling through, mental health stuff and everything else, I understand, I had a lot of misplaced anger at certain times, which caused me to actually try to, I really forced my way out of the military.
Right.
Because I didn't like the system that I was becoming a part of. And the fact that we weren't going nowhere on the ship didn't help at all. It was just I'm like, bro, because NC1, the funny thing about it, when I got out and finally looked at my original orders, because I always said I had a reserve contract.
Right.
But somehow I ended up active duty.
Active duty.
And then they showed me the contract said reserves. I was like, I knew it from the jump.
But was it FTS reserves or?
No, it was, I had a strict, reserve contract. So I wasn't even supposed to be active duty at all. And then I got lost in the system because I didn't want to, I had a fear if I say, I'm just wrong with my contract, they're going to push me back more. Right. And then I'm like, okay, I'm already here in Melts. I don't have my going away party. I just said, screw it. Let's just go for it.
Go with it. Go with the flow.
Yeah. But I ended up on the ship, Port Royal.
But where are you at, man? You was in Hawaii of all places.
Exactly. It was so beautiful. And honestly, I talk about this all the time. I talk to all my friends that talk about going to the military. I said, bro, I was stationed in Hawaii. They said, oh, that must be lovely. I was like, yeah, the people, everybody out there, they are calm, cool, collected. If you treat them right and you don't be bragging and boasting. And I was like, the scenery is lovely. But once you be there for over 2 years and you just keep going around in the island and everything, it just I feel stuck.
You feel stuck, yeah. Yeah, that's I mean, you know what? And that's funny because now, I did my 20, retired. And it's funny, back in my younger, I was like, man, you're landlocked. Okay, sometimes you just want to be able to get in your car and just drive. Just drive for 2-3 hours. You ain't doing it there. You're gonna see this, like you said, the same thing over and over and over. But now I look at myself, retired. Well, and I'm like, man, I can move back there and relax and just be chill. But yeah, definitely, when you're younger, it's definitely someplace. Do you 2-3 years there, and after that, it's like it's time to move on because Yeah, you do get that line. You can't just hop on a plane and say, "Oh, let me just go out for the weekend." If you're in the military, there's a lot of protocols
Oh yeah.
in place.
I kind of broke a couple of protocols. Y'all didn't know this, but like I used to fly back to California on the weekends. I didn't have duty, and I just come back. I made sure I was back in time, so no one knows.
There was a lot of people that did that. It wasn't just you. It was a lot of people that did that. There was even senior people doing that.
Oh, I had a feeling like that.
Yeah.
But yo, instant one. So the main thing we want to talk about today is like I want to be a guidance to a lot of these new people coming in the military, because a lot of things that most recruiters say aren't really what they will experience. Okay. And I want to make sure like they understand, like, man, don't do your own research and all this other stuff based on that line. But
so you know what I'm gonna say, because I do have some friends who are still in it recruiting, but I would say the recruiters themselves, the mindsets have changed even for the recruiters now. Yeah. And that's all the different services. So because of it, we have smarter sailors coming in, sailors, soldiers, airmen. Why? Because of social media, because the programs are like what you're doing. A lot of them in their high school, while they're looking stuff up on the internet. A lot of them are on Facebook, a lot of them, and they find these different, military groups. There's recruiting groups for people looking to come in. Yeah, there's. That shocked me a couple of years ago. One of my friends who's a recruiter, she introduced it to me. She goes, "Oh yeah, there's this group that for a lot of that's where I go, and I try to see ones in my area, and I try to get them or whatever." And they're asking questions. You have other recruiters in there. So now the recruiters are like, oh crap, they got the information out. So if I give them wrong information, guess what? Yeah, they're gonna come right back at me. So the culture has really changed a lot now to where, the new recruits coming in now, they have that information. Now, I'm not saying they have all the information, because again, it comes back to that asking the right question for what you want. Yeah, you go in these groups, you're watching other people ask questions. But what the ones they're reading the questions that, oh wow, that sounds good, but they're not asking their questions. And that's the part where I see a lot of, for a few of my friends who are still recruiters, and when they're talking, to their sailors that are, in the fleet now, and their sailors are telling about their buddies who was en route when they met them at boot camp and whatnot, and oh, they're recruiters, they heard this, they heard that, but the recruiters didn't tell them this, and that. And then when they would ask, their buddy, like, hey, well, did you ask your recruiter? Or did you ask in that group? No, I didn't ask. And it's like, so you were getting a lot of information. You saw the information, just ask the question. Somebody's going to answer the question. Another recruiter might answer the question. And that's where it's coming, where a lot of recruiters now know that if I'm going to tell a recruit something, if they're going to open their mouth and actually ask me a question, chances are they're going to fact check me now. Yeah. Back when I joined, I didn't have no fact checking. It was what my recruiter told me, and that was it. Oh yeah. Now my recruiter told me this. Okay, cool. I'm gonna go on Facebook real quick, or I'm gonna go on IG, or now there's a lot of recruiters doing. They're on TikTok. Yeah. And they're gonna go and they're gonna message them like, hey, I'm looking to join, and my recruiter asked, is that true, or whatever it might be, and then they're gonna get a response back. Oh yeah, that's great. Here's the resource to find it, and that's what a lot of them are doing now. Is they want the resource, they want the black and white. So that's why I want to say, we have smarter service members coming in now, and it's because of that. They have all these different resources to use. So that's why, you don't see the attrition rates and stuff like they were before, as bad as they were before. It's like soon people coming in, like, oh my God, I just want to get out of this thing. Oh yeah. So
that's exactly what happened with me for sure. Cause one, I already was like, dang, I really wanted to be a reserve so I can go ahead and go to school, probably come back and be an officer.
Right.
And then turn around just to like all that to happen how I did. I was like, ooh, I got into a little something that I wasn't really ready for. And I try to say, nah, I could do this to find out like, oh, and it became too much. And then I also got involved with like a business that I was doing, network marketing during the same time too. I was like, oh, this could be on way out, because obviously I'm like, oh, this is not what I thought it was going to be. Right. And then it kind of overloaded me all at once. And when I realized like, oh, this is, Cause like I asked the questions during during like the prep to going to MEPS and like going to boot camp, and then it kind of hit me with a curveball, and like I always regret like how I got out after I got out, because now I'll be thinking like, dang, what would have happened if I would have stuck it out a little bit longer? I was like, yeah, that was my first duty station. They always say don't judge it on your first duty station, but like I kept in contact with a couple of shipmates, like Ellis Richardson.
Yeah.
He was like, it got worse after you left. It's like, I was like, well, it kind of keep me like in the ground. I was like, okay, well, at least when I left, I got out in a good time. But then again, I always be thinking, I was like, man, what if?
But you know, I'm gonna come back to you and say the what if part was, yeah, you got out a certain way, but what did you do after you got out? Did you keep on going on a downward spiral? You didn't.
Nah, at first I almost did.
You almost.
I almost did, but I took a pivot. I swallowed my pride. I went back home because at first I was trying to stick it out in California with that little network marketing business, and it wasn't working out for me with that. And I had to realize, like, man, I just gave up my guarantee for a glimpse of what if. And I was like, it ain't panning out how I thought it would. So I said, what's next then? I went home. I ended up getting in school. NC1, I actually just graduated last summer.
Right,
I got my bachelor's degree.
Congrats.
It took me a good minute to do it, but I was like,
you got it, right?
Yes, sir. So a lot of different things happened afterwards, but also I got into some trouble. Had to sit down for like 3 months, but that's kind of helped me with realize I had to deal with some other stuff mentally, health wise, and lead me to the path where like now go to counseling every month. I'm actually every week. I graduated. I'm about to be in this TV series, Our Sacred Heart. It's like I look at where I could have been to where I am, so I'm still like, okay, all of it wasn't for a reason, but I did run a lot from a lot of problems instead of facing them head on.
Right.
So that's why I started thinking like, oh, what if? A little bit.
Right. Well, I mean, but still, I mean, you look at your journey. I always say we all have a journey we got to take. You know, we all have a path that we have to take.
Yeah.
You have your path. We'll have ups and downs. You know, I had a huge down, even in my military career, you know, on Port Royal, you know, something happened, you know, while I was on Port Royal. You were there when that time, when it happened.
Yeah.
You know, for me, that destroyed my career. You know, my career wise, I was stunned. That's why I was NC1, right?
Yeah.
Still, and after that, there was no going past, you know, go for me anymore at that point.
Yeah.
You know, but it was a path that was unexpected. You know, I came from Port Royal on top, you know, top of the world, you know, in the career counseling world. I was the, you know, it was like, wow, that's the star boy right there. He's going to Hawaii. He's in the Port Royal. He's going to, you know, whatever. And then all of a sudden that happened, you know, and at that time I could have went one way with it. I could have went the other way. I could have went the way with it. You know what, screw this, you know, Navy, this and that, but I didn't do that. Why I didn't do that? Because and they, you know, I looked at it's a job, and as I say, it's not the Navy, it's the people in the Navy.
Yeah.
And it was the people who were there that, you know, whatever. But then I looked at all the other sailors who was under my jurisdiction, meaning sailors like yourself. And yeah, I could have easily ignored all you guys and just did the bare basics, right?
Yeah.
But just like you said, you know, there's a lot of things you've come to realize afterwards when you know you did have somebody's ear, somebody that would talk to you, somebody who didn't pass judgment on you.
Oh yeah.
Like, hey, you know, because like I said, the service, it ain't for everybody. And then, you know, for the people who are there, whatever, I got it. You know, I say, you know, the conversation that you and I had, you know, some things I told you, hey, if you're gonna go this route, you gotta stick to your guns. You gotta, you know, we had these conversations, very great conversations, you know.
Yeah, real great.
And but you know, I'm gonna say since leaving Port Royal, I've had other people from Port Royal, you know, I can't call names, who were suicidal that reached out to me.
Yeah.
And I was shocked. I'm like, damn, this cat reaching out to me, like, I don't talk to you. You know, I mean, I sung in the ship.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, you know, as a career counselor, you came in, I gave you great advice, you know, I did what I had to do with you, but to say that we were buddies, we were partners, far from it.
Yeah.
But you know, it happened with more than one person. But then I would always ask the question, you know, after, you know, once I took care of them, made sure that they were in the back, you know, got the help they needed, and we'd conversate. I said, hey, so what made you, you know, reach out to me? And the one thing they said, well, you were the one senior person, you know, when they were there, that I figured if I can talk to, and you wouldn't judge me.
Oh yeah.
Because, you know, when you're on the ship, you didn't judge me. Yeah. You know, you just took the issues at hand or whatever it was. Like, okay, cool. And you helped me with whatever it was at that time. So now, you know, when I was going through this stuff here, you know, with the wife or with whatever, and I just, yeah, I know the suicide hotlines and all that stuff, but still, I still wanted to reach out to somebody that I knew. And, you know, I start racking my brain, going through my Facebook profile and stuff. Oh, you know, I saw, wait up, I remember, you know, NC1 from the ship. Let me see if I can find him. And every one of them, how did they find me? They found me on Facebook. One person found me on LinkedIn. And they contacted me from there, you know. So that's what I said, man. We all have a path we got to take, and just, you know, you always got to try to see the positive side of it. I always tell people, I'm not going to say you have to believe in God, but you got to believe in some type of higher being that's out there, that's out there for your good. We all came from something. I don't care. Something, we had to come from something. I don't care where you want. The Big Bang had to come from something. Yeah. You know, so again, but there's higher being out there. So you have to have some type of belief. I mean, if you don't believe in anything, you don't believe in anything. But still, I always tell, you know, you see people who are making it, people who are doing it, they have some type of belief, and you got to hold on to that and realize, okay, no matter which direction I want to go, if I follow this path, and we all know the path to, I don't want to use the word righteousness, but just, you know, the path to meet your goal is not going to be easy. Oh yeah. It's not going to be easy. Oh yeah. But the thing is, once you start getting there, once you get over a lot of those hurdles, it only gets easier from there. Oh yeah. It's getting over all them different hurdles, all that adversity. And like you say you see a counselor. Yeah. I see one. Yeah. I see two, actually. Dang. You know, but you see, but this is the first time I'm saying this publicly. Yeah. First time, never told her. I see two. I see an actual psychologist and a therapist. Therapist weekly, psychologist monthly. Why? Because sometimes you just need that person who doesn't know who you are, doesn't know any family members, don't know your friends, they don't know you from anybody, and like, okay, talk. You know, I mean, like you said, you talk to somebody, you know what it is. Oh yeah. And you know, I know it's helped me out tons. Oh yeah. Because you might have best friends, family, whatever, but at the same time, some conversations you just, that can't trust factor, you just can't have with it. Yeah. You just can't. So you need somebody who's just another third party that has no connections or whatever, and you get a better, clearer view of, you know, whatever's going on. They can give you different ideas and different, you know, stuff you can try. So totally, like you said, the mental part, you know, that's the part where, you know, we have to embrace that. And that's the part where a lot of, I would especially say us being, like, especially as Black men, it's taboo. Oh yeah. Taboo. Oh yeah. You see, oh, man, you crazy. What do you mean crazy, man? You could have that on your own, dog. You're like, hold up, man, listen. You know what? That was an old way of thinking. You know, we live in modern times today. Today we're understanding. That's the reason why a lot of us ended up on the other path, was because we didn't get the help we needed, the mental help we needed. Yeah. You know, sometimes it's just conversation, healthy conversations. Exactly. And I had to realize that. I was like, if I would have actually swallowed that pride that I had and did this earlier, I'd be thinking like, dang, where could I have been? I could have been in a lot of other places sooner. Because like until like 2020, when I had to sit down and like be around all my family, I realized like a lot of my family members, I couldn't have conversations with them that I thought I could. And finding that person that I could like really like third party, like you said, that I could just, they ain't gonna judge me for what I got going on, and just like, all right, let me teach you how to unpack this a little bit so it doesn't bother you as much as it would in the beginning. And I be thinking about it all the time, because when I was on the ship, I really like, it was like 3 people that I could probably talk to. You was one of them. I had my chief, Chief Hodges. Yes, Chief Hodges was like, I told him he was like pops to me, because I was like, I had a little flat top still, so I was like, I'm kid, you pops. Because I remember he came and got me when I was cranking,
because the little chief he kept poking at me, and I think I snapped at him one day because we was cleaning the bulkheads. I'm like, man, we pulling the paint off, so I noticed it's clean. You could point at me, it's like, bro, you missed a spot. Like I got to the point where I about snapped on him, and I've seen Chief Cotters around the corner came around. The next day, I was done cranking, and then he's still my best friend, Richardson, Ellis Richardson,
Yeah.
man. And like I got to see him, I think it was like 2 years ago, because he was still doing reserves. He was actually in Mobile, and I lived in Pensacola, and it was just good, just like knowing like from the bad situation that I may have been in, I thought I was in. I met a lot of good people still
Right.
through that, and I still learned some of that stuff, and like I'm able to implement that other people now, especially like when I came back to college. Like half the kids are like 20 and stuff. I was like 28 by the 30, and I just turned 30. It's like, hey man, so what you do? What you all of this? I said, man, I've been in the military, this, that, that. He said, all that in 10 years? I was like, yeah. When I look at it like that, I was like, man, I did a lot in 10 years. And I traveled a lot in 10 years. And I was like, man, the journey that I was on, I couldn't really tell it from while I was on that journey. But now looking back on it, I was like, everyone was a building block for me. And I'm thankful for it. Especially like the Port Royal, like at the time I thought it was the worst ship.
Oh yeah.
Because I never seen like someone, when I saw our ankles go from gold to gray and someone told me what that meant, I was like, oh, that just everything I'm thinking already about the ship is just been verified. So I was just like, it was like the ship of scandals.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. You know, I mean, yeah, at the time, but I'm sure you probably remember when I used to tell all you guys, come talk to me, whatever. I was supposed to tell you at the end of the day, whatever's that you're doing, you still have to realize you're here. You got to make the best out of whatever, come up with your plan and use that system to your benefit also. Yeah. Don't just let it burn you out. So I think that's where a lot of the sales who I was able to interact with, I was able to help them in that way. Like, listen, I get all that, trust me. But at the same time, you're going to let it burn you out. But what are you going to get from it?
Oh, yeah.
And that was a part. I always tell all you guys, whatever you guys are going to be doing, whatever direction you guys want to go, make sure, it goes in your favor at the same time too. That you're not just going to just screw this or whatever, them do whatever you got to do and you go your way. No, you're going to go your way. We want to make sure you still take some stuff along with you.
Oh, yeah.
So that's definitely.
Yeah, because I think I use that to like the best of my ability too, because especially when I was trying to get out, because I knew I played basketball for the ship, and the CO at the time loved the basketball team, and Master Chief just kept giving me the runaround. Oh. I was just like, I know he's from Alabama, he an old head, so I already could have thought by the way he was thinking. I was like, man, you understand, like, bro, I don't want to be in this stuff no more. I want out. I literally had to go around him and then everything. I know he was going to talk to me about me any type of way. I was like, hey, you ain't giving me, I'm told you came back time and time again. I was like, yeah, this ain't it. This ain't it.
Yep.
And we had a great CEO at the time. So, and it worked out in my favor. I still had an honorable discharge when I got out.
Yeah.
And then I was like, most people was like, bro, you only did this much time and got an honorable discharge and everything. I was like,
yep.
Yeah, man. It's like that connections that you make with certain people, you make it with the right people. Man, it can always work in the favor.
With the right people, but at the same time, so you still have to do your part too.
Yeah.
And that was the part where I'm actually always telling all you guys at the same time, don't just burn the bridges and whatnot. You have to have a plan, stick to your guns and just be like, hey, do what you got to do. And, things will happen. And that's why, you're not the first person that sailor that I've dealt with, and there's a couple of females too who's come and, and I know a lot of times after the fact, the chain of commands, the triads will come talk to me because they knew it was me, but they can never prove it. They knew I was the one that was guiding a lot of you guys. And then the reason why, because they know you guys wouldn't know what to do and how to do things. They're like, no, they would never know that stuff. And the peanut gallery that they hang out with, sure the hell wouldn't know that stuff.
Oh yeah.
And I know it's not their chief giving them everything. I know it's not their LPOs. It has to be somebody. They always knew I was probably the most savviest person that knew how to
move correctly on that.
Exactly. You know, so it wasn't my first rodeo helping out sales. Did I do it for every single sale? No, I didn't do it for every single sale. I just did it for sales who I knew genuinely like, oh yeah, this is, you need to get as much help you get. I'm gonna help you out. I'm gonna tell you, how to navigate it.
Yeah.
And the ones who actually listen, and listen to it. And like I said, don't go in there with a bad intent. Don't go in there with a bad heart. Just, like I said, it's not for you. You got to let them know that. And before you know it, and every single way, you're not the first. Like I said, honorable, many others all got their honorable discharges, all got, whatever it was for only doing 2 years. Some of them, one was like less than 2 years. And went to an A school that was, was demanding.
Yeah.
It was one of the ones where they signed up, and it was a 5-year plan, and she was still able to get out under 2 and didn't have to get pregnant.
Oh, that's good.
But ultimately now, I think the culture though now is changing. Does it still have a lot? Yeah, it still has some work, but compared to what it was even when you came in to like now, it's changing a lot. And like I said, social media has a lot to do with it. Information is out there now. Information is out there. You have a lot of sailors who are like you, who now are recruiters, right? They've been for those 10, 12 years now. They're recruiters. They have some of them, there might be some people you knew who you might have known who are recruiters right now. You probably just don't know they're recruiters.
Actually, I ran into one, Jess, the girl, she was a GM. She was in Pensacola. She was like, I was working in the mall, I was looking, I was like, hey, what you doing in my city? She's like, oh, I'm a recruiter here now. I was like, dang. It's been that long.
Yeah, so you see, and a lot of times because these are people you work with, they know the struggle. They knew what it was. So a lot of them now, they're changing that narrative because now they're the recruiters. So that's why I said, so it's the culture is changing. But there's always gonna be the ones that get, but to say it's like what it was before, it's definitely not what it was before. So, and now it's like recruiting is good, but they're not just taking any person anymore either. Oh yeah. That that little flux when they were just taking people in, bringing people in. Oh, not anymore. Now it's like, no, we want to make sure we get good people in. And like I said, so yeah, it's changing. It's changing. It's other ways to go, but it's changing.
So. It's like the country along with our country. It's like we're changing slowly but surely. Kind of we have that regression period, but I'm glad to see the military changing because I just think about the next guy now. Yeah. I want like a lot of people like, hey man, I know you was in the Navy. I know you got out of the Navy. But what is it? What did you like about it? What did you didn't like about it? And like, especially when I came back to Pensacola working in the mall, I ran into a lot of people in the military now. And like, I tell them straight, I was like, hey man, if this is for you and this is what you want to do, man, you gotta stay focused. I'm like, look, I got out early. Sometimes I regret it. But I say, hey, go ahead and don't judge on your first duty station. Take it for what it is. I was like, if you need some mental health counseling, go see your mental health counselor. I said, go get guidance. Like, they got everything here to help you. I didn't take advantage of it. So I said, I gotta make sure y'all take advantage of it so y'all won't end up how I did.
Right.
And I was like, I'm not happy how I got out. But I was like, I'm happy that I kept my sanity before I got out. So I want y'all to be as cautious and ready, as prepared as possible to blossom in whichever avenue they decide to go in. And like, even with the kids, I was like, bro, if y'all not doing nothing around here in this community, I say, man, check it out, man. Because honestly, it may not have been for me. It may be something for you. Like, go see the world, man. They got different things. I say, you ain't got to join the Navy. You got Air Force, Army, Marines. I was like, Coast Guard. I was like, I said, puddle pirates do some good stuff too. So, but I say, all of them gets paid the same. They get to view the world. Just you got to take advantage of it. I said, it's at your fingertips now. So it's cool to see the culture is kind of more open and everything now.
It's like I said, it's definitely getting that way. And I'm gonna say even like for the minority communities, Black communities, and Hispanic communities, and Asian communities, again, with that, I'm gonna say it's that social media and stuff, that the word is getting out there more and more and more, and more opportunities are coming. More people are realizing. That's why, like, now a lot of I was just reading something about it. Some applications before, where even in the military they would still put the race thing. Now they're taking that out,
Mm.
and you just submit your application, no race now, just your name, whatever. So when it goes to these boards and stuff, they're trying to say, they're trying to best say, okay, they're not going to be swayed by to say, okay, well, this person has a name that sounds Hispanic, but it could really be a Black person, or it sounds, they don't know, they're just going to go by their merits now and taking out that race piece.
Oh.
And I would say, I think since doing that, I know, like in the old community, I heard somebody I know he just picked up, and he was saying that, yeah, he was like, yeah, Joe, he goes, they didn't know. He said, yeah, he knew somebody who was on the board, and the person, like a lot of people on the board, they're going through the pattern. Hey, you know who this person is, and hey, who's this, and hey, do you know this person? And of course, in the board, they're not supposed to. Even if you know, you're supposed to say no, I don't know, or because they're trying to get away with that whole race thing, so that way.
Yeah.
And I would say, since they've been doing that, or they're trying to do that, you're starting to see more and more. When you see the results coming out,
Yeah,
the results are a lot more diversified now.
Oh yeah,
A lot more diversified compared to in the past, where we all knew 99%, one race and 1% everything else.
Yeah, and that was the truth, because I remember seeing that so many times. I was like, because I could have picked up third class petty officer. I'm not gonna lie, NC1, it was part of my plan to fail that test on purpose. I came up with a plan, but like a lot of, because I remember my friend Hoyt had a lot of problems because the division he was in was like basically so broad, and even though he did a great job this whole time, the EP was going to somebody else that really wasn't doing half the work he was doing. And I seen the stress and the struggle on his face. He's like, man, I'm being here this long, this, that, and third.
Oh, yeah, he was doing the most.
And everything. That was like, when you see somebody like that working and busting their tail more than the other person that getting the EP, and then they're getting the advanced recognition also. And I knew then, I was like, this game is one day it's gonna break you and make you. And I couldn't let it break me. So I had to hurry him get out there before I did something that I would have probably regretted. Yes,
and now you're bringing up that part, and a lot of times that regret part for a lot of sailors who was in your situation, what did that regret part end up being? Suicide.
Yeah.
A lot of sailors, of sailors, when they realized they had no avenues, or they felt like they had no avenues, chain of commands were against them, no one in the chain of command they can come talk to. And I mean, I was a Navy career counselor, but a lot of sailors, they hear the word counselor. And I mean, I always tell everybody, I'm not no mental health counselor, but I can give you guys some pretty good advice and give you good resources to go to. And there were sailors, who didn't have somebody like that.
Yeah.
And that was something that, I know the counselors came up under me, who converted to NC. I would always tell them, listen, we're not counselors, but sailors will come to you for every damn thing just because you have that counselor in your name.
Yeah.
And I said, yes, you're not a mental health professional, but learn what the resources are in your area, wherever you're at, so that when you do have sailors come to you and you realize, okay, yeah, this sailor needs some help, whatever, outside help from command, hey, go Fleet and Family, hey, go to this resource, hey, you can even go to VA resources. A lot of people didn't know about. Even at the active duty, you can still go to VA resources too. If you really, because the VA resources won't come back to your command at all, zero. Yeah. Fleet and Family will still send a report back to the higher ups saying that, hey, such and such came for whatever help. But if you went to like the VA, they wouldn't contact at all, zero contact. So that's why I was telling them, have these resources for these sailors, give them avenues. But when the sailors don't have avenues, that's where a lot of them would end up committing suicide. And we always find that out after the fact, when you see they left a note, or they were talking to a family member or a friend from back home. Yeah. And the friend said, yeah, I was just talking to him last night or a couple hours ago, and he was telling me that he can't talk to nobody, everybody's against, he's trying this, he's trying that, and he feels like he has nowhere to go. And I told him, just don't want to keep your head up. And next thing you know, all of a sudden, the next day I found out, he committed suicide.
Oh yeah.
So that's something else. It's a very real problem too with that. And that's the part I know I always try to tell people. I'm in these Facebook groups and I see that I just saw another sailor on my post, reposted it. I didn't even know the guy committed suicide. And I actually, just me on my own, I saw something. I saw one of his shipmates who posted it. I found a kid's profile. I sent the kid a message on his profile. I don't know the kid, but I know he's in the military. I sent him a like, hey, if he was at your command or whatever, and just put what I just told you, I just wrote a short look, say, hey, let your career counselor know the resources and have open conversations with your sailors when you're doing their check-ins and stuff like that. So that's another real problem in the military too.
Yeah.
A lot of it is just because the resources. A lot of sailors, they don't trust their chain of command. So when you don't trust your chain of command, and then your chain because you cannot do this, meaning you can't go outside the chain of command, what do they think? So it's that, and then knowing their rights, knowing that they can go off the chain of command, especially when it's mental problems, you got to.
Oh yeah, man. Because I just thank God that I was able to keep my sanity, because I did feel like that person that had, like, I could talk to my chief, but half the time had so many people around him, so I was like, man, I didn't feel comfortable talking around him at the time, unless he pulled me to the side and we were somewhere separate, or like, that's why I used to always sneak up and go up to where the quartermasters was, where E. Ellis was, and I was like, man, I try to stay away from much stuff as possible, even when I run into you in the P-way and everything too. It was just like, that could have been me.
Right.
If I would have, that's why I'm like, I always think about that what if, like, but like you said, that what if could have ended too.
Yeah, a lot more so times for sailors that feel trapped, they feel like, this ain't for them, and they're trying, and it's, as they say, not like they're not talking, they're telling people, and they're constantly, not like it's a one-time thing or that for that 1 week and then all of a sudden after that it just goes away. These are sales that week after week of like literally letting people know that, hey, this is not for me. I mean, they're doing their jobs, but they're letting them also, this is not for me. You look at their attitudes, you look at, their demeanors, and you just realize that, what, maybe we should take this person seriously. But a lot of times commands are so worried about demanding and stuff that they don't take it seriously. So that's something else. So I see a lot of leadership now is starting to take more active roles in, and they're paying more attention to stuff like that. They listen, because when a sailor does do that, now you ain't got demanding. Now what?
Man, that's good. That's the best thing. That's what I like to hear. Like, them being more aware and they being more acknowledging of that, because that's going to really determine the culture of the military going forward.
And there is a shift coming. There is a shift. It's happening. I'm saying it's happening. It is happening. So just not as fast as we want it to happen, but it's happening.
Oh, yes, sir. Man. Yo, NC1, man. Thank you for coming on this episode from Boys and Men. But is there anything you want to leave these people with, like guys thinking about going to the military or people in the military, advice that you want to give them?
Oh God, I don't want to sound corny, who to ask questions if you have questions, but coming in or whatever, ask those questions. Use your resources. Don't be afraid. Why? Because when you sign those dotted lines, and you're signing a commitment, so ask those questions. You got to just ask those questions. For the people who are in, if you have any problems or whatever, your mental problems, remember you have resources now, Fleet and Family Support Centers. If you ever go to a Fleet and Family with your chain of command, they might try to scare you, might try to tell you whatever, but you can go. It is your rights. Know your rights when it comes to that. Your mental health is very, very important. You have family, you have friends, you have a lot of people out there who will support you, but you got to open your mouth. You got to ask.
Yes, sir.
So.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir, man. Man, NC1, thank you again, man. I know
No problem.
We're going to chop it up and keep connected and everything.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yes, sir. But y'all, like I say always before I leave on this episode, y'all dream big dreams, because small dreams have a little magic. And how big would you dream if you know you couldn't fail? And remember this, y'all do y'all best and let God take care of the rest.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Thank y'all for tuning in for this episode. Thank you again, NC1 Joseph. Man.
No problem.
Man.
Always a pleasure, man. It's a pleasure, man. Pleasure seeing where you are today, too.
Yes, sir.
Love it.
Hey, I came a long way from.
Well, look, if only they knew.
Hey, like I said, like if only they knew. Thank you again, NC1.
All right, man.
We're going to stop this recording. Yes, sir.
I know that I'm different, self-motivated, self-disciplined, yeah. I learned from my experience. I just want someone to take me serious. Real questions that I ask. How long will this solo trip last? I'm content with being alone in the past, but it's changing and it's something I can't grasp. Turn off my phone, I'm in my zone, so now I'm acting different. I'm to myself, I'm in my head, mapping out this life I'm living. Shadow work on myself, I done already seen hell. Can't fit in, so I rebel, but I don't miss a beat.